Welcome to day 75 of 100 Days of Hidden History. We are now 3/4 of the way there, which is absolutely crazy to think. And today we're going to pay a visit to possibly one of the most famous archaeological objects in the whole of England. But what we're looking at about it isn't the most obvious. Naturally, of course, because this is 100 Days of Hidden History, not 100 Days of the most famous history in England. This is the Alfred Jewel. It's held by the Ashmolean in Oxford, and it was ordered to be made by Alfred the Great. It has long been debated what this jewel would actually have been used for, but it's thought that it was most likely the head of an eastel. In other words, a pointy stick that was used to point at words as one was reading so that you didn't lose your place. What is most interesting to me is this figure in the center of the jewel. Who this figure is, we actually don't know, but if you're anything like me, then you would most likely just have assumed that being as it was called the Alfred Jewel, the figure in the center would be Alfred the Great. Nonetheless, although this has been suggested, it's not really very likely. Another suggestion was that it was St. Cuthbert, one of the most popular saints around this time, or even Christ himself. But most recently, it's actually been thought that the figure in the center of the Alfred Jewel is a personification of the sense of sight. The personification of sight was also associated with learning and wisdom, and hence it was probably a pretty good image to have on the top of a pointy stick to be used when reading. Other evidence to suggest that this might be the personification of the sense of sight can be found on the Fuller brooch in the British Museum. On this brooch are depicted the 5 senses, with sight standing in the middle, as sight was considered to be the most important of all of the senses during the medieval period. You can see here that the personification of sight on the brooch also has these huge great eyes that we can see on the Alfred Jewel, and also seems to be holding 2 stems of some kind of plant. Both figures seem to appear very, very similar. Nonetheless, even with the similarities between these 2 figures, it's not enough for us to be able to say for certain that the figure on the Alfred Jewel is the personification of the sense of sight. So let me know who you think it is in the comments.